Masters Vessel Classical Academy, Primary Section. On the roll.
Good afternoon, pupils. My name is Mrs. Ajike Chidinma. I'm here to take the upper primary on Christian Religious Studies. And our topic for today will be decision making. The word decision has to do with one making up his or her mind over a particular thing. And the making is a process. And when we put the two words together, decision making, we say that decision making is a process or an act of making up one's mind over a thing. This goes ahead to tell us that in decision making, we normally have two options for us to make a choice. For example, I have a party to attend. Now, these are my skirts. I'm looking forward to wear for this party. I have two skirts with me. I can either choose this one or this. The choice is mine. And I really have to think about it very well to make a choice. I can decide to wear this one. I don't like yellow. Maybe I prefer this one. You can see it's a black skirt with flowers. Yes, this will give me a perfect match. I have made up my mind. I will wear this for the occasion. Now that is what? Decision. I have decided, I have chosen the one I want to use. Now, before you make a decision, there are certain steps you need to consider. And one of these steps is, first of all, you need to identify the problem on which you have to take a decision. And then the second one is that after you found the problem, you need to analyze it. When you have done that, the next thing you do is you go ahead and get information concerning that problem you have identified. And after that, you develop a plan on how you're going to solve that problem. And then, the next thing you do is, you put the plan into action. And then the last but not the least step is, after putting the plans into action, you have to come back and check or examine yourself based on what you have done. I said the first step is, you need to identify the problem on which you're going to work or take a decision on. And then the next step is for you to analyze it. For instance, as a pupil, you need to identify that, I've not been doing very well in class. In my exams, I've been failing. I've not been doing well. That's a problem that you have identified. You need to first of all start somewhere. As you have identified that, then you begin to analyze. What can I do so that I'll be able to pass my exam? You are what? Analyzing it. And then the next thing you do, the next step, you go out. Maybe, probably in your class or in the previous classes, there has been someone who has been failing exams and suddenly the person picked up and started passing exam. You can ask the person, how did you do it? What did you do that you now get a fifth, you are now the first in class, or you now come third? Before you used to carry the class on your head. And the person tells you, that is getting information, which is the third step. And then the fourth step, we said, you need to develop a plan. Having identified the problem, you analyze, and you have gotten information. The next thing is to develop a plan. Okay, now I used to fail, maybe because you found out that the person have told you, I started reading my book, and that is why I'm now passing. You will now tell yourself, okay, I'm going to be reading my book. That means I'm going to be studying so that I can pass my exams. That is the fourth step which you have taken. Then you map out how you are going to what? Be reading. That is what? Putting your the problems you have identified into action. You have to say, maybe today in the morning or when I come to school after school, I'm going to study my mathematics, what auntie taught us in the school today. Or you say, I am going to read for 2 hours every day. It's your decision to take. Remember, I told you, when making a decision, you normally have 2 options. Either to do the right thing or to do the bad thing. It's your choice, okay? And then the last step, after putting into action, maybe you've decided to be reading as you're reading twice, or you timed yourself. You come back, that will be at the end of the term, to actually know that if you have moved a step forward or you went back. You need to examine yourself to check if you have done well. Now let's take the meaning of decision making. I said decision making is the process or the act of making up one's mind over a thing. Now the steps. Now, these are the steps we said we are to take when making decisions. One of them, we said you have to first of all identify the problem on which you're going to take a decision. And the second one is to analyze the problem. Then the third one is for you to go ahead and get information about that problem. Then the fourth one is you develop a plan. You have to develop a plan on how to solve the problem. And the fifth one is for you to swing into action. That is putting the plan into action, the information you have gathered. And then the last one is for you to come back later to examine yourself, to assess yourself. Have I really done well? That is the last step. And then we have to take example of some Bible characters that took decision, that made some decisions. Some of them made right decisions, while some made very bad decisions. One of them is Rehoboam. Rehoboam was the son of King Solomon. You know this king very well in the Bible. He made a wrong decision by listening to the youth instead of the elders. It made him to lose his father's kingdom. That made the kingdom of Israel to be divided into two parts. They now have the northern kingdom and then the southern kingdom, which was made up of only two. The southern kingdom was made up of only two kingdoms, and made up of two tribes rather, and the northern part was made up of 10 tribes, which the brother Jeroboam took over. That was a wrong decision. If he had listened to the elders' advice, that would have helped him to make a right decision. Another person is Queen Esther. You know, Queen Esther had all the opportunities. She was a queen. She had all the opportunity to say, the children of Israel, my people, if they want to perish, they can perish. But she decided she wanted to single-handedly save the whole nation. It wasn't in their custom to see the king at will. But she defiled that culture, went in after praying to see the king, and told the king, look at what is on ground. King Haman was plotting to kill all the people of Israel. And she prayed and went to seek the face to see the king. And that decision saved the whole nation of Israel. Another person in the Bible, will look at the 3 Hebrew boys, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. You know them very well. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They were taken captive. Captive means they were taken from their land to another land, an unknown land. And in that land, in the new land where they were taken to, they were expected to serve the gods of that land, which they don't know. From their own country, who they serve is the living God. And they were now told to begin to serve idol. And that did not go well with them. They refused. They took a decision that we are not going to bow to what? This image. That the only God they know is what? God. That even if God did not come, they know it did not come to save them. They know that even if they die in that fire that King Nebuchadnezzar threw them into, that God is still almighty. They took a stand. They made a right decision. And at the end, what happened? They were saved. And then when we talk about the story of the prodigal son, these are examples of Bible characters that took a decision. The prodigal son, I know you've heard the story before. He made a decision, told his father to give him his own portion of his inheritance. What happened? He went far from their city and squandered everything. He spent all he had. That was his choice. I have told you, you always have a choice. You can decide to make the right choice or the bad choice. And then we talk about the 4 lepers. These are also Bible characters that made decisions. These were lepers. And you know, lepers are set aside. They are not allowed to mingle with every other normal human being. They are kept far away from the city. Now what happened was, there was a war at that moment. And they said, we've been left out here. If we stay there, we will die. And if we still go to meet these people that are fighting us, we'll still die. So let us not sit down at a place and die. We have to take a step. And they took a bold step. That was decision. They made a decision. And they left. And as they went there, as they were going, those people that were fighting them, they began to hear sound. That was God in action. They began to hear sound and they became scared and ran away. And when these lepers got to their tent, they found out that there was nobody there. They ate a lot of food and then went back to they remembered their brethren. This is another good decision they make. Because some of us are usually very stingy. When you don't want to give your neighbor. You want to eat alone. It is not good. The lepers went back, told their brothers, and they all came, made food, and ate. That was a very good decision they made. You, as a pupil, you can decide to take make a right decision, which will affect you later in life. Remember that any decision you take, whether good or bad, will eventually affect you in life. If not today, it may be tomorrow. Now we're going to take this note down. Examples of Bible characters that took decisions. Now, these are the examples of Bible characters that made decisions. Remember that decision making is a conscious decision. is a conscious choice between two things. You have to decide whether you are going to be a good girl or a good boy, or whether you are going to be a bad girl or a bad boy, whether you are going to make the right choice or the wrong choice. Always remember that it will affect you, if not today, tomorrow. Now I'm going to give you some homework you're going to do at home. Remember to do this. Don't forget. Do your homework. Now, one of the homework is, what is decision making? Number 2, write 4 steps that can help one make decision. Number 3 is, give 2 examples of decision making by some Bible characters. Do this as you stay safe and take responsibility. Bye.